Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I'm going to share with you guys my own personal top 5 most carried knives over the last month or so. I think it's been 4 or 5 weeks since I've done this, so I've got some interesting things to share with you. Everything that is available will be linked down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me, and make sure your notifications are turned on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. Obviously, I'm still EDCing my own Vertilock Excalibur a lot. This is not on the list because it'd be on the list every single week, right? But yes, this is a knife that I EDC all the time, usually switching between the titanium and the carbon fiber one. The order links for those are still in the description, but my top 5 outside of that one there. Coming in at number 5 is the new Winter Blade Co. X folder, which I don't carry necessarily because it is like more convenient or more utilitarian. I carry it for the same reason that I carry any other Winter Blade Co. knife that I have, because it's cool. This locking system that he has developed is, of course, like all of his other, I don't know how many different locking systems this guy has, but it's proprietary to Winterblade. It's also a really strong, like the setup here, you can see, it kicks this little thing out. It kicks this out, and there's a bar back here, and you can see the slot. This goes back here, and then once this is in place, it slides down into position there, which you can hold in place just during use. And truthfully, I haven't had to use this other element here. I've just been like, deploying it and then using it like this. But there is a little hook back here, and you can push it in, click, like that, and hold it in place. Super cool. Now, you don't have to use this, but, if you're going into, if you're going into danger mode, right, you're going into super serious ultra knife guy mode, stand back, regular citizens. Knife guy is here to use his heavy-duty knife. If you're doing that, outside of Target or wherever you are, then yeah, you can utilize that. That's pretty cool. Over the top, unnecessary, ridiculous, absolutely, but that is Winterblade, and thank goodness that Brian Winters is here to save us from the boredom over knives like the Buck 110 and the Benchmade Bug Out and countless other evergreen knives, but knives that are just not nearly as fun. Knives that will get the job done, as the jean jacket guys down in the comment section will tell you, but just not as cool. And thank goodness. I love the X folder. It's really cool. After a while, that thumb stud, kind of wears in on my finger. I think I said this in the unboxing. I wish that he would round this off a little bit or make that slightly more comfortable. But truthfully, outside of that, it's been a pretty awesome carry. I think that these were available for pre-order here recently, so I'll put the link in the description. Moving on here, a knife that you just saw me unbox. Literally, like, I think maybe this morning or yesterday, but that video is a week or two old, which you can see by the date on the pinned comment under that video. This video has actually been in my pocket quite a bit since I recorded that. This is the new Rob Johnson's, yes, this is a yellow shirt day, sorry, Rob Johnson's Cedar Mini or Mini Cedar with the button operated nested titanium liner lock. Oh my goodness. What an exceptional EDC knife. Now I'm going to break some hearts here. This is a wildly expensive knife. Not just because reasons, as people always automatically assume, but because these are made in a very small shop. This is a ultra high-end or mid-tech, right, semi-custom. This is a mega expensive tier of pocket knife made in-house in Latvia, I believe just by one person. It might be him and maybe one other person, but yeah, that's it. So each one of these knives individually receives an enormous amount of personal care, and there's also some hand elements to it as well. I believe he sharpens these by hand. I love the stepped blade. I love the polishing on there, and yes, the edge is screaming. The edge is screaming sharp. I can feel the little fibers of dead skin popping off of my finger as I touch that edge there. I don't want to push it, but yeah, the edge there is awesome. Not a plunge lock. It's a button-operated internal or nested liner lock, which means you get the detent. It also has a little sort of recessed flipper tab, and then we can, of course, Spidey flick it or Spidey drop it or whatever. And man, tuned to perfection. They really surprised me with this one because they said, hey, we made a button lock. You want to check it out? And I was like, oh boy, another button lock, And I love Rob Johnson's. Their knives have been awesome. I carry my large Cedar a lot. But I was not expecting a button-operated nested titanium liner lock with the steel lock bar insert. That's really, really cool. So, yeah. I don't know if these are still available or if, like they're going to be more down the road. I'm sure that there will be, but I love this. And if your question is the texturing there cheese gratery enough to really wear your pockets out? I think over a long period of time it will. But while it does provide meaningful traction, it's not super aggressive. It looks more aggressive than it is. I find it to look, exceptionally, pleasant. It's very easy on the eyes for me. There are, I think, a couple of different options for blade steel. There's RWL34 and maybe Vanax. I'm not sure if he still does the saltwater builds. And then I think you can also, if you want to go crazy, you can get Damascene steel. But this has been awesome. This is a wonderful EDC knife. Very, very expensive. But for those of you who shop in that territory, you should be checking out Rob Johnson's. All right, moving on here to the top 3. And as soon as you see the first knife, you're going to know where this is going. A lot of you guys know that I'm replaying a quest, right? I'm going back through this quest again. This is my second playthrough on this quest, so to speak. But I've always been very intrigued by the original Holy Trinity knives, and I had sort of concluded a long time ago which was my favorite. And as time has gone on, many things have changed, including, what inspired my own pocket knife. And I thought maybe I need to give some of these another chance, re-explore this, and return to this topic in 2026 and give my updated thoughts. So I have been doing that. And the first of the 3 knives that I've been carrying, this is the third most carried of the 3, is the Hinderer XM-18 3.5 inch. And this is a big eye roll for a lot of people who watch my channel because everybody knows I'm a Hinderer fan. A lot of this channel's content in the early days was based on Hinderer knives. Still a huge fan of Hinderer knives. This is my carry Hinderer. This is a 3.5 inch Spanto, standard thickness 165 thousandths. I've attached the titanium scale. I've actually installed the bronze washers in here, and this has been working exceptionally well. It has an incredibly thick cutting geometry, and it's not the most comfortable thing to thumb flick because of the shape of the thumb studs, but it does work. I enjoy carrying this knife, not because it is, better than any other knife at EDC, or I need it for any specific scenario. I just like it, right? I've always loved Hinderer knives, and it's awesome. It does, cutting certain things with this geometry. It is the thickest of the 3 geometries. It does slow me down a bit. You can get versions of the XM-18 3.5 inch that are skinny versions, only 140 thousandths at the spine, and then they also make, on top of that, a hollow slicer grind, making the edge much, much, much thinner, so you can get versions of this knife that cut better. This is the one that I use, and I've been enjoying it, right? I mean, there's really nothing else to say. The XM-18 is a preferred carry knife for me, but it's not the ideal knife for everybody. Moving on to a knife that I had judged initially many years ago on this channel. I said, that is ugly. That is a stupid knife. Why is the butt so big? It looks dumb. And then as time went on, I really came to appreciate the knife and understand why the ergonomic lines were the way that they were, which is why this knife, this is one of the knives that inspired my own Excalibur. And that is the Strider SNG. In this case, this is a performance version of the knife. Now, you also just recently saw me unbox this. But once again, that upload was recorded, I think, at least 2 weeks ago. So I've had this in my pocket a lot, and I have very much been enjoying this. Now, if I had the option to get a textured titanium version of this, then I would have gone for that. But this is what was available to me, and I did have to overpay for it on the secondary market, which I do not love. But it is what it is, right? The ergonomic lines are exceptional. The jimping, they probably could be closer together, but it's not like Strider's going to change his jimping now, right? This one's in S30V, which is fine for me. I don't really care. Like the steels that Strider uses are all, fine. I think his heat treatment's pretty good on this. I think he runs it at 60 or so. But the contouring is really nice on the performance versions. I like the hardware better. Pocket clip is just wonderful. Wonderful. Ridiculously expensive knife, entirely made in the United States, and for many people it's just automatically like these are overpriced, and I think that's fine. People can think what they want. This one has no lock stick, and it is also centered. This is an authentic Strider. It is not a clone. I only buy authentic knives, even if the clones are the same or better, and you can get them for a quarter the price. I don't care. I only buy the authentic ones. Of the three of these knives that I've been carrying, I have to say that Strider's phosphor bronze action is the best. Could it be improved with bearings? Sure, but the phosphor bronze is more ideal in a dirty environment. It's just kind of cool, something like kind of fun and old school about carrying something like this. And, you know, this is coming up on what would largely be considered I know it's like crazy for me to use this word, you know, in the context of a Strider knife, but we are approaching a time period where a Strider SNG is considered a vintage knife. That's the reality of it. These have been around for a very, very long time. This is also the one that I think has the best, like, deployment action. It really, even though the XM-18 can run on bearings, the XM-18 has a thumb stud that's not very comfortable and a flipper tab that's not comfortable at all. So of the three, actually, this has the action that I prefer, or at least the deployment comfort that I prefer. And it's really nice. The only thing that I, don't love about this one is the fact that it is slippery. It's a smooth, contoured surface, and texturing would have been better, but there's versions of the Strider that you can get with texturing. So really have enjoyed this. And to my own personal absolute astonishment, of the three, and the knife that has made it into my pocket legitimately more than any other knife save for my own Excalibur, which has been rotated in about 50-50 with this knife. The Chris Reeve Sebenza 31. Why is that such a surprise? Isn't that a legendary knife? Isn't that like one of the most preferred, higher-end U.S. pocket knives of all time? Yeah. Initially, I did not like this knife, and truthfully, to this day, I don't like the base version of this, the aesthetic, just the plain titanium. It's just so plain and boring. And I had always been under the impression, like, this is such an overstated knife. Like, it's like the Buck 110 of the modern, knife world, even though the original Sebenza is like, from the 90s. The Sebenza 31, I had remembered it being number one, very uncomfortable to deploy. Number two, having stiff action that the community loves to call hydraulic, which is true, but I didn't like that. And I didn't like the boring aesthetic, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just like, it's a knife that a massive community of like ultra followers are just, shoving through and ignoring all of the other better options out there, which I kind of understand as a massive Hinderer fan, but I just was like, no, it's not for me, years ago. And then Blade HQ dropped the Blade HQ exclusive version with the carbon fiber front scale. The first time that I saw the Sebenza, or one of the first times, you can see there what I'm talking about, one of the first times that I saw the Sebenza, I think it was just the standard one, but I saw the carbon fiber one, and I was like, man, that's a way better look. Like, that looks so much better. And at the time, I was obsessing over the ZT 0562, the Hinderer ZT that had the carbon fiber front scale and the 20 CV blade. And so I was really into this aesthetic, and I remember thinking that is the nicest version of the Sebenza I'd ever seen. Years and years and years went by, and I saw this on Blade HQ, and I thought, maybe I should pick that up and give it another shot. And I got it, and I do love the aesthetic, and truthfully, the thumb stud still does not make this knife an incredibly comfortable knife to deploy, but the action is not nearly as stiff as I remember. It is stiff, but I can thumb flick it. It took me 20 flicks out of the box without adjusting anything, and I can do it. The part of this knife that I truly enjoy, the part that Sebenza fans do get right, out of all the other fluff, all the other stuff that, it's better because Chris Reeve, who did invent the frame lock, if you didn't know, all frame locks come from Chris Reeve originally. The part that they are right about is the joy of using this as a cutting tool. Once you get past all of this, however you feel about it, positive or negative, you go to cut with it, and my God, is this thing good? It's really nice. It's not like I've never experienced a hollow ground, trailing point blade before. No, I have, but this is really special. The edge really feels knife. It's not the thinnest in the world, right? But there's something about passing the Sebenza blade through material that really, you can tell that this thing was created to cut and cut and cut. And over time, this blade shape and the cutting geometry has truly been perfected in a master craftsman way. Chris Reeve knew exactly what he was doing. On top of that, now having reviewed thousands of pocket knives, coming back to the Sebenza and appreciating exactly how perfect this thing is. This Sebenza, as much as I love the XM-18 and I love the Strider, when it comes down to consistency, and I've handled many Chris Reeve knives over the years, when it comes down to the consistency of quality manufacturing, Chris Reeve knives, of the many that I have showcased here on this channel, whatever I've thought about the action or this or that, they are always perfect. Everything about the knife has been machined to perfection. We can have our preferences when it comes to, like your action and all of that, but the lockup is insane. This has a mega high tension frame lock. This frame lock is in a class of its own. It feels different than Strider and Hinderer and all the other frame locks I've ever handled. Very high tension frame lock that is meant to stay in place. They also have the unique oversized ball bearing detent. Oh, it's like a ceramic detent ball that hangs off the corner so that the top of the detent ball is exposed and the side. So it acts as a detent ball and as a lock face interaction. This dramatically slows down the wear of the lock face over time, making this truly a lifetime pocket knife. Because of the extended hollow grind, you can continue to sharpen this and really make use of that thin edge over decades. The Sebenza is not just text on paper, it is proof of itself over decades. There are so many people who buy and carry and use Sebenzas, and very rarely will you hear of anything going wrong with the Sebenza. It's also incredibly easy to take apart and put back together. So, is this my favorite looking knife of all time suddenly? No, it is not. Absolutely not. The carbon fiber one is cool, but it's still not my favorite aesthetic of all time. The thumb stud, is it as annoying as you remember? It is. The thumb stud is as annoying as I remember. Little elf hat, little thing. Is the action as bad as I remember? No. The action is not great, but it's better than I remember. But it's purposeful. The washers in there are a bit oversized, right? The cutting experience is the thing that really makes this stand out. I am becoming not an ultra fan. I am becoming someone who understands more, where the Sebenza community is coming from. But I really like this one. And when it comes down to these three, each of these knives are going to get, again, God, how many times have I reviewed the XM-18? These are all going to get their own reviews again, and then I'm going to come to a conclusion of which one is my favorite outside of just utility, and which one I think makes the best tool. So these three for sure, and then of course the Rob Johnson's mini button-operated liner lock Cedar, and the Winterblade Co. X Folder. I think I may have said X Factor at some point, which is confusing because he actually does make a folder called a Factor. It's the X Folder. Yeah, these are the five that I've been carrying. It's been a joy. These have all been used very casually, not in any hardcore sense, but I have very much enjoyed these. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let me know which is your favorite. If you carry one of the three Holy Trinity knives, let me know which one it is. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. I expect more about these three in the future. That's going to be it today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.